Mr. Zaki, given your considerable experience at the League of Arab States, you're the Assistant Secretary General, and your long distinguished experience as Egypt's former ambassador to Brazil, let me begin by asking you about this statement from Qatar. Qatar say the future of the Strait of Hormuz must be decided by the entire Gulf region once this conflict ends. Do you think that's achievable? How does it look?
Listen, I think it is achievable. I think this is a wise opinion coming from Qatar. I think that has been the case prior to this war. The complications that happened after the start of the war are related to the war. We certainly hope that those complications are not going to be turned into permanent arrangements. I hope they're going to be just that, tied to the war. And then after the war ends, there will be a comeback to the original arrangements, even if the original arrangements should include all those countries that are looking over the Gulf.
In the Gulf War of 1990, Arab countries paid huge costs for the war. The White House press secretary was asked this morning about Gulf countries paying towards this war. Will they and should they?
You know, at the end, paying amounts of money for any military effort is a sovereign decision by any one country. But what I can tell you is that none of our member states, and certainly not those Gulf countries, have asked for this war, wanted this war to last. So I am wondering, and I'm sure a lot of our other member states would be wondering as well, why would anyone want Arab countries to foot the bill for a war that they did not ask for?
Mr. Trump has angrily hit out in the last few hours against his allies, suggesting that some are not doing enough. Whatever that means, I wonder, are Arab nations doing enough in his view?
I don't know. You have to ask him about that. What I can tell you, looking at the situation from our own perspective, I think we've done more than enough. Our member states have been suffering. Just today, the UN has issued a report estimating the losses of the month of military activities in the Gulf and on Iran to being around $260 billion for the Arab countries. This is a huge amount of money, a huge amount of money. So if it wasn't just, if it was only that, I think that is more than enough for countries, again, that have never asked for this war, that never wanted it to continue and want to see the end of it sooner rather than later.
Let me ask you about Lebanon. What should we make of Israel's incursions into Lebanon? And what should the international response be? What should the Arab nations' response be?
Listen, we've been gathering a political momentum here in the Arab world in solidarity with Lebanon. The Lebanese government has taken all the right procedures, the necessary decisions that would enable it to become the sole bearer of arms and weapons on its territory. This is a very difficult undertaking, especially in view of the fact that Hezbollah has been building up its arsenal for about 40 years. This is something that is very difficult to achieve. Yet, our member states are all in solidarity with Lebanon for that matter. Now, the international community also needs to come in and put pressure on the Israelis because, simply put, the Israelis' presence on the ground in southern Lebanon will get us back to where we were before the Israeli withdrawal of 2000, meaning that Israel occupies parts of the Lebanese territory, which opens the door for Lebanese resistance. Who would want that? After all what we've been through, who would want that cycle to restart again? I hope that the Israelis do not want it, because if they do, that would be very Machiavellian, and I think it will be counterproductive, and it will not serve anybody's purpose, including the Israelis.
You're an experienced diplomat of many years standing. In your view, what do you believe will happen next in this war? Is it going to be over, as Mr. Trump would have you believe, in a matter of weeks, or are we in for a long haul?
Listen, if it's only by wishful thinking, I just hope that tomorrow morning things will be over. But experience has taught us that when you amass military power, the United States especially is bound to use them. And we're afraid that what we see on the ground and in the seas around this area means that there is still the intention of using additional forces, and that is not a good omen for this war, and it might be opening up another phase. Yet I still have hope, considerable hope, that the U.S. president will heed the calls from the Arab side and other international leaders, especially in order to put an end, a swift end to this war.